My name is Jennifer Harris and I'm the Legislative Liaison for the Arizona Department of Veterans Services. Thank you for joining me today for an introduction to the Arizona State Legislature. Throughout the course of this presentation, I will provide high-level information on the federal government versus state government, the Arizona State Legislature, the legislative process for how a bill becomes a law, and how to engage with the legislature. Our goal is that this presentation will give you a better understanding of the legislative process and how to become involved. To start, I would like to take a brief moment to discuss the differences between federal and state government, starting with the roles that each play. The federal government's enumerated powers are listed in Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution. Among other things, they include the power to levy taxes, regulate commerce, create federal courts underneath the Supreme Court, set up and maintain a military, and declare war. The 10th Amendment of the United States Constitution declares that those powers not specifically reserved for the federal government are given to the states. States' powers are those required for public safety, health, and welfare. The United States government is made up of three branches. The legislative branch makes laws and consists of the United States Senate and United States House of Representatives, which together make the United States Congress. The executive branch carries out laws and consists of the United States President, Vice President, and Presidential Cabinet. The judicial branch interprets the laws and consists of the Supreme Court and other federal courts. The U.S. Constitution mandates that all states uphold a republican form of government, although the three-branch structure is not required. Although not required, all state governments are modeled after the federal government and consist of three branches as well. For the state of Arizona, we have the legislative branch, which makes the laws for the state and consists of the State House of Representatives and State Senate, the executive branch, which carries out the laws and consists of the governor and their cabinet, and the judicial branch, which interprets the laws and consists of the Arizona Supreme Court. For the federal level, Arizona has 9 congressional districts, 1 representative from each district who represents Arizona, and 2 U.S. senators who represent Arizona in Washington, D.C. For the state level, Arizona has 30 state legislative districts, 2 state representatives from each district, and 1 state senator from each district. You can find your congressional district, legislative district, and the members who represent you by visiting azredistricting.org/district locator. Before I talk about the legislative process of how a bill becomes a law, I would like to talk a little bit about the state legislature as a whole. As mentioned, the state of Arizona has 30 legislative districts and 90 legislative members. The Arizona legislative session convenes on the second Monday of each January for 100 days. If the legislature does not adjourn sine die by the 100th day, extensions are granted. The state's legislature's primary constitutional duty is to pass a state budget, but they do introduce and pass additional legislation addressing state issues. Each chamber of the state legislature contains a majority and a minority leadership team. The House consists of a speaker, speaker pro tem, majority leader, majority whip, minority leader, assistant minority leader, and minority whip. The Senate consists of a president, president pro tem, majority leader, majority whip, minority leader, assistant minority leader, and minority whip. Each political party in each chamber has a caucus consisting of the legislators of their party. That being said, there is a majority and minority caucus in each chamber. Caucus meetings occur regularly through the legislative session and are used to make legislators aware of the bills that have cleared their assigned committees. Standing committees convene regularly during the legislative session to hear bills that have been introduced, ask questions, and take in public testimony. The numbers and names of the committees are determined by the presiding officer, House and Speaker and Senate President, and ratified by each body. Interim committees are committees that meet during the months when the legislature is not in session and are typically study committees, ad hoc committees, joint committees, etc. Now let's talk a little bit about the legislative process and how a bill becomes a law. Where do bills come from? Well, it starts with an idea. Ideas can come from results of an interim committee, court decisions, state departments, and agencies of the executive and judicial branch, political subdivisions, individual constituents, business and special interest groups, miscellaneous sources, audit recommendations, news media investigations or special reports, and national legislative organizations. Once an idea has been drafted into bill form, the bill is given a number. first read and referred by the Speaker or President to the appropriate standing committees. If placed on a committee agenda, the bill is then heard in a public committee hearing with the opportunity for expert and public testimony. After hearing the bill, the committee votes, and if the bill passes, it then goes to the Rules Committee, where it is determined whether or not the bill is in constitutional and proper form. Once out of rules, the bill goes to caucus, where the majority and minority caucuses receive a briefing on the bill by staff. After caucus, bill goes to the Committee of the Whole, which is a session of the entire chamber acting as one committee to debate and offer amendments on the bill. Third reading is the vote of the entire chamber that determines whether or not the bill keeps moving through the process. Once the bill passes out of the third read in the House, it goes over to the Senate, where it starts the same process all over again. If passed by the Senate on third reading, the bill is transmitted back to the House. If the bill is identical to the measure originally passed by the House, the bill is then sent to the governor. If the bill comes back to the House in an amended form that is accepted, the House will do a final reading, and if passed, the bill is sent to the governor. If the bill comes back to the House in an amended form that is not accepted, the bill is assigned a conference committee made up of members of both the House and the Senate. The conference committee will amend the bill by accepting the original version, adding new material, deleting language, or in some way compromising on disagreements. A conference committee report is sent back to each chamber for adoption, and after final passage by each chamber, the bill is sent to the governor. The governor can veto the bill and return the bill back to the House with a letter explaining the veto, sign the bill, or allow the bill to become law without his signature if he takes no action during the next 5 days or 10 days after adjournment. Then the bill becomes law in the Arizona Revised Statutes. Now that we've talked about the differences between federal and state government, the makeup of the legislature and the legislative process, you may be asking yourself, how can I get involved? One thing you can do is contact your legislator by phone, email, or letter to request a meeting, request specific legislation, or request support or opposition on a particular bill. Additionally, you can attend committee meetings to observe or testify your opposition or support on a bill. And lastly, you can utilize the Request to Speak system, or RTS. RTS is an electronic system that allows the members of the public to provide their position on a bill and/or request to speak on a bill in committee. This is where you can indicate your position, indicate if you want to speak, and leave comments that will be visible to the committee and members of the public. One must create and enable an account to use the system. To create and enable your account, you must initially log into the system from a legislative kiosk computer located in the State Senate, House of Representatives, or the Tucson legislative offices. Once you have enabled your account, you can access RTS electronically from anywhere. Comments made in the RTS can be viewed by the public and legislatures throughout session. Thank you so much for taking the time to learn more about the Arizona legislative process and how to become involved. If you have any question about the information covered here, please call 602-255-3373.